Alright, well, we're going to make a little buffing video today and get everything set up out here. Got some various sandpaper in here. Got some 1000 grit and 1500 and 2000 in there soaking. Got some knee pads because we're going to get down on the ground to do this job. Got a couple of blocks there and finishing DA with an interface pad on it. And I've got some 1500 sandpaper here for the DA hook it. And I've tried this stuff before and I've not had good luck with it. It usually leaves a lot of pigtails and stuff that need clean up, you know, because dirt and stuff gets trapped underneath it. But this thing's got a lot of heavy texture on it. We're gonna make a pass over the whole thing with a 1500 and be careful with the edges to knock down the texture, and then we'll come back with 1500 on a hand block and you know, go from there. But we're going to leave a little bit of the texture in there. You know, we don't want it perfectly blocked out show quality or anything, because then it won't for sure. It's got too much texture to match the factory orange peel now, and we don't want to have too little either. So, and then I got these two guys I just made up for blocking out one run that's in a flat spot, and I got two runs that are in on a contour right here. You can see just let me get a better angle on it. Where are you? Oh, it's in there somewhere. Yeah, there, you can see it right there. So just to get it up in, you know, into that contour and get that one out. And then we got one on the flat spot there and one on the other side as well. So all right, we're gonna get this set up. And all right, well, I started right here. I took some 1000 grit on the little block and started on this run that's right here. You can see this is a body line coming up right here, so I have to be, you know, real careful about that. And unfortunately, you got a little drip going down in there. And let me grab the towel real quick. I got most of it out. I'm recording this on my iPad. First time I'm making a video on the iPad, and it's really zoomed in close. I need to play around with the settings on it more. So you can see a little trace of it right there, a low, and then right there there's a little low. But I'm done with that. You know, I'm not gonna sand that out anymore. It's right in the crease down in here. I think once it gets buffed out, you know, it'll be a hard one to see. Now this one here, I'm gonna get better because it just I don't know if it's showing up good for you guys or not, but right in there, it's a pretty big one. So we'll get zoomed in here and do a little blocking on that one. Once you block them a little bit, they really kind of show up. Yeah, you can see them there. And this is really more of a sag than a run. It's really not that bad at all. So we'll keep blocking that down a little further. Just trying to concentrate right on the actual spot itself, so you don't get too much scratch around it in the 1000 grit that you have to come back and clean up later with the 1500 and 2000. When I saw that I got all the texture and the couple of runs in it, I did put 3 coats of clear on this thing. I knew I was going to have to sand and do a little sanding and buffing, and so it does have 3 coats of clear on. I was just going to put 2, but once I made a mess out of it, I knew it would need the extra coat for some blocking and sanding here. Run blocking, that is. All right, it's getting there. I'll keep at it, and I'm just going to take my time and go slow. You can see it's slowly dissipating there, and then we'll come back and show you when we get it blocked out. All right, so I got that one out of there. It's still got just a little, traces of it. You can see a little bit right there, a little bit right there. But we're going to go back over it with 1500 and 2000. So by the time we get it in those, those grits, it'll be flattened on down. So there's a couple more. There's one more sag right in here somewhere. I don't see it right now, but it's in there. And then there's one over there. We'll get those, and then we'll keep moving ahead. All right, well, I went back over the areas that had the runs in it with 1500 grit. Just hit those individually, and now I'm going to do that's a nice water squirter there. Just go and do the whole areas around it, just being careful up around the edges of it there. And I decided to forego the idea of the running the DA around because it's only been 2 days since this thing was painted, and this clear is really sanding pretty easily. It's pretty soft and knocking the texture down pretty quickly. And that's probably about all I'm going to do, is about that much. So we'll keep going here, and I'm going to be careful in these little short areas where you've got an edge on really close. Could actually take a piece of this and do it by hand, but we'll just be careful with it, and hopefully we don't burn through. All right, well, we'll keep sanding all this down with 1500, and then we'll hit it with 2000, and then when we come back, we'll get the buffing on it. All right, well, it's all in 1500 grit, and I got most of the peel out of it by accident. I really wanted to leave some in there, and it's got some here and there. You can see traces of it, but it's going to be, let's say, you can see some right in there too. You can see from the light. Let's call it an almost show quality buff job on this bumper cover. All right, now that it's sanded in 2000, it actually matches closer to the body than when it was fresh out of the gun. But as you can see, this thing is quite nasty. And we got some sanding sludge all over it, so I'm going to run it through the car wash because I wanted to just get it cleaned up a little bit anyway for them. And so we'll do that. We'll run it through the car wash, and then we'll come back and mask off the front a little bit to keep, crap from slinging everywhere, and then we'll run the buffer over it and send it on its way. All right, we did a quickie masking job just to keep the crap from getting everywhere and having to, so I could spend 30 minutes of masking and a few dollars worth of tape and paper, or spend an hour, cleaning out the crevices and the details of that intricate plastic grill work they've got going. So I'm using 3M Perfected system here, and this is the #1 with the white cap, the white polish. And what I'm going to do to start with is go over it with around the edges with a small buffer, because I don't want to use that big buffer and get it caught up. So I'm going to hit all the edges of this, and then I'll use the big buffer to hit all the open spaces with it. Don't want to burn through an edge at this late stage of the game after all the work that's gone into it here. So let me readjust my iPad camera setup, and we'll get going. So a little lube on the pad, some Wizards detail spray, and then just a little bit of the compound. Don't want to swing it everywhere. Alright, well, we went ahead and hit that with all the edges with the little mini buffer there. And had one little spot where I burned through, just a tiny, tiny little speck. There's a lot of sharp edges and corners on this thing. A little bit aggravating the buff, but I can put a little drop of paint and cover that up. So we'll go ahead and go over the open spaces now with the big buffer and see if we can continue to avoid the edges. Put the buff on a slow speed. Try not to get the pad too wet, sling it everywhere, but you don't want to run it dry and burn through the stuff. All right, I'll keep moving ahead here, and we'll come back and show you a little more. All right, we got the first course of buffing done. Now we're going to use the same part of the system there, the 3M Perfected, and this is the part B, which is the machine polish, and on a black pad, foam pad. You notice I didn't use the purple McGuire's Shut Your Face Garage style pad for the main compound. I like it. It just, I don't know. For some reason I just like the wool pad better. Seems to cut faster for me, and I just have a better feel for it. So same drill on this, hitting all the edges, and then we'll come back to the big buffer. All right. Well, it's all wrapped up, bolted back up, and ready to ship it out of here. I think we got a pretty decent match on it. What do you call it? The pearl in the original is a lot nicer and a lot more of it. This Omni stuff, it's got some pearl in it. You can see it, but it just doesn't look near as good as what the factory stuff looks like on there. But anyway, I think it's good enough for this. Some smudge prints on it there. There we go. All right, that's a wrap. I mean, come on now. James Freddy's, Jeff from Photo Finish, you know. You ever gonna make a video? Come on, dude. I know, I see you leaving comments. I see you lurking around, text messaging. Everybody that sees this, go on over to James Freddy's and check him out. And leave him a comment. Tell him to make a video.